Hi, I'm Charlie and back, and Mario Kart is truly an iconic series. Spawning many sequels, arcade games, and more, Mario Kart is an icon of video games, especially on Nintendo consoles. But this game spawned knockoff after knockoff, causing almost every franchise to have some sort of racing game. Like, what the f*** is this? Did these games destroy the legacy that Super Mario Kart had set up?
The Mario Kart series began with Super Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. As the first game in the series, it's alright. This game is heavily inspired by the Super Nintendo's other Mario game at the time, Super Mario World. And so is the rest of Mario's World at the time. To cut a long story short, Super Mario Kart came from the idea of wanting to make a multiplayer racing game. Nintendo had made other racing games before, such as the F1 games on the Famicom, also starring Mario, but their most globally popular one was F-Zero. Nintendo took the engine of F-Zero in order to create what we know now as Super Mario Kart, replacing the races with more popular Mario characters. Mario, Luigi, Yoshi, Princess Peach, Bowser, Toad, Koopa Troopa, and Donkey Kong Jr., and created what we all know and love today. Many prototypes of early versions of Super Mario Kart have been found by the cutting room floor, with each version having very interesting stuff inside of them. The first was known as the 1991 alpha of the game, which doesn't really have that much of a game, and is instead just a test of what the game could be. There's only 3 characters in this game: Mario, Luigi, and Bowser, and in this alpha, Luigi is just a retextured Mario.
We're really not beating the Green Mario allegations, are we, Luigi?
But this game had something very interesting that's not actually found in the original version of the game: hover mode. Yes, in the early stages of Super Mario Kart's development, both normal karts and hover cars were available to race as. It's a pretty interesting way of playing the game, but it really doesn't add that much. Of course, the hover thing would sort of come back in the later Mario Kart world, just you wait. There's actually an even earlier build of the game that just uses 3 generic characters instead of the Mario characters, with a few other differences as well. It's quite interesting seeing a Mario Kart game where you can't play as Mario. The prototype that was created in November of 1991 had some very interesting additions as well. There's no title screen, instead it boots you to a wall of text, and we finally have most of the characters in the game: Mario, Luigi, Bowser, Peach, Kong, Noko, Kino, and Yoshi, which for the second half is their Japanese name, with multiple modes on how to play the game. There's the normal races, but there's also a mode known as Bat. This mode has you kicking red balls at each other. Possibly this was some sort of coin collection game? No one really knows, not even the cutting room floor. There's also a gun battle mode, where Mario and Luigi shoot either red balls or coins at each other, depending on what screen you're looking at is depending on if it's a red ball or a coin. No idea why, it's most likely a debug thing.
Finally! Shooting in a Mario game!
And there's also an editing track mode. Now that's cool. It's kinda like Mario Maker if it was for Mario Kart. Of course, it's very basic, but it's still very interesting to see what it would have looked like for Mario Kart in the 90s. Should have kept it in if you ask me. Finally, the 1992 prototype has some other interesting stuff.
Finally! Something interesting!
This was found in a huge Nintendo GigaLeak that happened in 2020, that leaked so much stuff about the development of Nintendo games in the SNES and Nintendo 64 era. It's quite interesting looking through what was found, but I think those Nintendo lawyers may get a bit annoyed if you publicly talk about it, so I'll be brief.
I won't talk about it, I swear!
There's finally a title screen added to the game, oh thank god. There's races added to the game, oh thank god. The game's sound code is based off SimCity for some ungodly reason, and there's even more battle modes, and debug mode makes a return, oh thank god. These battle modes include Gate Race and Whack-A-Mole. The cutting room floor doesn't know much about either of these, so there isn't really that much to tell you.
Sorry!
Super Mario Kart eventually came out in Japan in August 1992, with the release being spread across the end of 1992 and early 1993, and is known as one of the greatest video games of all time according to Wikipedia and some articles. You have 3 speeds to choose from, with only 2 being available at the beginning, 50cc and 100cc, with 150cc being the one you unlock. And there's 4 cups: the Mushroom Cup, the Flower Cup, the Star Cup, and the Special Cup. The Special Cup is only unlocked after getting the cup for the first 3 in 100cc, just to make things difficult. This game takes inspiration from other racing games by including a rank out mechanic, with you not being able to get under 4th place, otherwise you'll be ranked out and lose a life.
A life?
Yes, taking inspiration from the Mario platforming games, this game includes lives, where you can start with 3 lives, with you being able to get extra lives by placing the same number 3 times in a row, because why not? They forgot to add 1-up mushrooms, I guess. Depending on what rank you get is how many points you get, and there's 5 tracks for you to prove that you're the best.
5?
Yes. For this game and this game only, each cup has 5 tracks instead of the usual 4 that appear in every other game. Each course is based on a location from Super Mario World, like Donut Plains, Bowser's Castle, but there's one iconic track that is unique to Super Mario Kart, and we're going to become a staple for every Mario Kart game following this one.
Mario Circuit 4?
Rainbow Road. Super Mario Kart introduces Rainbow Road, being the hardest track in the entire game, and it became the most iconic track of all time. This track just feels magical in other games. This Rainbow Road is pretty boring. Maybe that's just because of how good we have it now, but this Rainbow Road is one of the most boring tracks in all of Mario Kart. But overall, Super Mario Kart cemented the legacy of what Mario Kart would be, with its follow-up being the most influential game in the whole series. Mario Kart 64 was the second game in the series, released on the much more powerful Nintendo 64 in 1996 or 1997. Or 2003 if you're playing it on the iQ player.
Kinky!
This brings the game fully into 3D. Yes, the last game was kinda in 3D, but that was in 3D the same way that Doom was in 3D. So this truly was the first one. This game brings everything that Super Mario Kart didn't have, and more, but it keeps some of the stranger things, like the rank out system and the NPCs cheating. But everything else is just iconic. Once again, this game has 4 cups, with the Mushroom Cup, Flower Cup, Star Cup, and Special Cup, with many returning characters like Mario, Luigi, Peach, Toad, Yoshi, Bowser, and 2 newcomers, Wario and Donkey Kong.
That makes this one the best one.
Kamek, known at the time for being the villain of Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island, was supposed to appear in the game, but was later replaced with Donkey Kong because I mean, who's iconic, the guy in the blue robe or Monkey Man?
Monkey Man! Duh!
So what made Mario Kart 64 so good and Super Mario Kart so meh? Mario Kart 64 used unique tracks for every single track in the game instead of having multiple repeating tracks. We got Luigi Raceway, Moo Moo Farm, Koopa Troopa Beach, Calamari Desert, Toad's Turnpike, Frappe Snowland, Choco Mountain, Mario Raceway, Wario Stadium, Sherbet Land, Royal Raceway, Bowser's Castle, DK's Jungle Parkway, Yoshi Valley, Banshee Boardwalk, and Rainbow Road. Each track was its own unique idea. Some ideas taken from other games like Super Mario 64 and Donkey Kong Country, but everything was its own thing, except for the final level. The Rainbow Road of Mario Kart 64 is one of the best ones out there. Pretty much all of the Rainbow Roads that follow Super Mario Kart are some of the best. However, this Rainbow Road kinda just goes on forever. It's fun, yeah, but it's not really fun after the first lap. This of course gets changed when this Rainbow Road comes back, but in this game it just takes forever. Mario Kart 64 also released during the boom of mascot kart races and other racing games. We had games such as Sonic Drift 1 and 2, Sonic R, Diddy Kong Racing, Atari Kart, and more.
No one played Atari Kart.
Each kart racer had their own unique twist on what Mario Kart had established with Super Mario Kart, and the Nintendo 64 just had so many of them. Diddy Kong Racing was the huge one alongside the sequel to F-Zero, F-Zero X. Diddy Kong Racing was developed by Rare, including characters from future Rare games such as Banjo and Conker. However, this game was never supposed to be a Diddy Kong game. It only added Diddy Kong because Banjo was delayed. A sequel to Diddy Kong Racing was supposed to be in development for the GameCube known as Donkey Kong Racing, but due to its lead developer Rare being bought by Microsoft the day after their first GameCube game Star Fox Adventures launched, it never came to be. A DS port was made, but removed all reference to characters that weren't Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong characters. This game and all racing games on the Nintendo 64 were so damn popular. Other classic Nintendo 64 racing games were Wave Race 64, a sequel to a Game Boy game, and Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, a movie tie-in game which we can talk about at a later date.
Maybe then.
And because of the success of what Mario Kart 64 and other kart races had done, Mario Kart became an ongoing series for Nintendo on every single console ever made by Nintendo, both at home and on the go.
Do we have to talk about this one?
Mario Kart Super Circuit was the first portable Mario Kart game, and my god, you can tell, Mario Kart Super Circuit took the Super Mario Kart approach, and considering it was for the Game Boy Advance, yeah, it makes sense, but it also features every single level from Super Mario Kart as a bonus in this game. Yeah, every single part of it. Super Circuit tried to be the best Mario Kart yet, but due to it being stuck on a handheld, it really couldn't. The handheld Mario Karts are always going to be the secondary game compared to the main console version. It's just the way the world turns, and that's especially apparent with the follow-up Mario Kart Double Dash. Mario Kart Double Dash was the first Mario Kart game to really get it and have its own gimmick to itself besides from just being a Mario Kart game. It showed off the power of what Mario Kart could do and how much fun it could be. Everything looked incredible compared to Mario Kart 64, and especially compared to Super Circuit. It's like night and day. Mario Kart Double Dash has an amazing Rainbow Road as well, but honestly, that's to be expected by now. Mario Kart Double Dash, along with every game after, cemented Mario Kart as the premier racing game for the whole family to play together, or even for you by yourself. Only Nintendo would get people to keep coming back to Mario Kart 8 after it technically released in 2014 on the Wii U by adding double the amount of courses that were in Mario Kart 8 plus the original DLC with the Booster Course Pass. Mario Kart then went on to be in arcades under the name Mario Kart Arcade GP. But the first two are seemingly extensions on what Mario Kart Double Dash was, except this time with Pac-Man due to these games being developed by Namco on modified GameCubes, as these games were a part of a deal between Nintendo, Namco, and Sega known as the Triforce. Sega provided the discs, being Dreamcast discs, Nintendo provided the GameCube, and Namco provided the games. A perfect three-way.
Kinky!
Although Sega also cheated on Nintendo and Namco with making an arcade board using the inside of an original Xbox in partnership with Microsoft, the Triforce is what led to these awesome Mario Kart arcade games. Obviously the newest ones don't run off of GameCubes, but instead run off newer hardware due to them being almost similar to Mario Kart 7 in looks, which is also what Mario Kart Tour does, which is the mobile game that is almost like an exact port of Mario Kart 7 with a lot of similar courses. Mario Kart as a brand is heading in an all-new direction, and it's all thanks to Super Mario Kart on the SNES. So you gotta thank one of the worst games in the series for having these fantastic ways to play Mario Kart wherever you are now.
Thanks, Super Mario Kart. You saved my life. Now don't cheat on me like how Sega cheated on Nintendo, damn it!